So basically, as we all know, we have tried to de-escalate chemotherapy in many tumor types, and this is something we can achieve nicely in the estrogen receptor positive, HER2 negative breast cancer patients. But the dream of doing the same in aggressive tumor types, in my opinion, was not achieved. So this is why we designed the PHERGain study that basically try to de-escalate treatment in a very innovative way. Can we design an adapted trial to de-escalate treatment for a group of patients and only give chemotherapy in the patient population that might need? So our study was an adapted design trial, and basically we started all patients with trastuzumab and pertuzumab, anti-HER2 therapy, and endocrine therapy if appropriate. So trastuzumab, pertuzumab, and after 2 cycles, we did a PET scan to see if the patients achieved a response or not. If they achieved a response, they continue with trastuzumab pertu with no chemo, and if they did not achieve a response, 20% of the patients, we added chemotherapy on top of the antibodies against HER2. So for those patients who did continue with trastuzumab and pertuzumab and achieved pathological complete remission afterwards, they continue with no chemo. A non-PCR was observed, was reported, then we added chemotherapy. So basically, this is an adaptive trial. So I don't care for the purpose of the study if the patients received or not chemotherapy. We analyze the total population, doesn't matter how they behaved, how was the long-term outcome, regardless whether they received or not chemotherapy. So this trial did have 2 primary endpoints. The first one was just maybe exploratory, but it was a primary endpoint, was pathological complete remission in those patients who achieve a response by PET. So those are the patients who continue with trastuzumab, pertuzumab. So again, 20% of patients did not achieve a response by PET, 80% achieved a response by PET, and among these 80% of patients, 37.9% achieved a pathological complete remission. But what is much more interesting, and this is what we presented at ASCO 2023, is the invasive disease-free survival for the total group of patients. Doesn't matter if they receive chemo or not, again, doesn't matter. How did they behave? And the invasive disease-free survival at 3 years was just amazing, 95.4%. It was identical to what we might expect if all these patients would have been treated with chemotherapy and double blockade from the very beginning. And which was even more amazing, for those patients who did achieve response by PET, pathological complete remission, these are the patients who did never receive chemotherapy, only trastuzumab pertu, 30% of the total patient population, 30%. We did not have any metastasis at 3 years, and the invasive disease survival was 98.8%, only 1 local relapse. Well, first of all, I would like to highlight that we are running a PHERGain 2, which is a similar concept in tiny tumors, and we are starting to design another trial. But I think that, not for all patients, but maybe if we have patients with tumors higher than 15 or 20 millimeters with node negative, I think that's a strategy that could be implemented in the clinical practice. So let's start with trastuzumab pertu and let's add chemotherapy only if needed. This is something I will start doing it in my practice. Well, I would like to add only that it's impossible to randomize patients to do randomized phase 3 trials to de-escalate chemotherapy. We need so many thousands of patients that I think it's something that also the companies, I don't know if they will be very, very interested in. So I think that smarter designs, PHERGain is just one example, could be other ones. I think, in my opinion, this is the way to move forward.